Got a question in front of me from Bruno da Fonseca. I hope I said that right, Bruno. Um, Asking me basically what are my favourite tracks, with all the tracks I've ridden, um, and what makes me feel emotion and why, which circuits. You've really got me thinking here. And then I've gone from my race days, at different levels and different championships, then through all the track days that I do now all over Europe and sometimes outside Europe. Then now I get to do also, on top of that, is I ride the GoPro lap on the Thursday before every MotoGP, which I feel pretty lucky. I get to see all of the current World Championship tracks. So I put all that together and thought, easiest way to describe it is talk about my favourites when I raced first. I look forward to go back there every year, and not because of my results there, because some other tracks outside my favourites gave me the best results, but these, like you said, make me feel emotion, and I love them, and my first one on that list, and it was the first one to get dropped off the World Championship, was it was next to the town called Zeltwig in Austria. It was called Ostreichring, and I believe, and it then got changed to the A1 ring and 30% snipped off, roughly. And the flow of the track is not the same anymore. It's now Red Bull ring or Spielberg ring, and now it's more stop-start, which means brakes and engine, which cannot be in my favourites anymore. But the old track, Google it. They've still got a map of it on the. I did, and it's gorgeous. It was unbelievable, but dangerous. That's why they had to change it. So the other three that became my favourites after that, as I did more circuits, and got more experience. Phillip Island. I don't think anyone will be surprised to hear that on the list. It has all of the traits of a perfect circuit. Slow corners, intimidating fast ones up and down, and every corner is different from the one before. And the reason I like that is a rider has to dig deep in his toolbox of skills to ride all these different corners to a high level. I love that. I think that's what a circuit should be. If Phillip Island has turns that I mentioned the other day are so intimidating that when you get them right, it's more rewarding. All of my favourites do have that. I'll just quickly throw in my favourite memory of Phillip Island is Stoner Corner. Sure, but there's actually a longer section that blew my mind more. Is down Lukey Heights, right, turn left, and then out of that left second gear, it's like on a 500 all the way to the outside during the race in 98, right out to the white line, and the rear only just came back into line as the bike was upright, and then I turn in with still the throttle on, and the rear comes back around again on the way in, then shut the throttle, and the front goes on the way in, then back on the throttle, up over that blind brow, which is amazing, last turn onto the front straight. And it might sound like a fantasy saying it like that, because it was all my childhood to do something like that without crashing and hurting myself. And that's what I'm saying. Phillip Island made my dreams come true, A circuit that I was terrified when I first went there in 89. I went away from there going, I don't know if I can do what it takes to go fast around there, and it took years of going back and more experience, and then that's why it's so rewarding to get right. Moving along on my list, and I'm not saying they're below Phillip Island, they were equal to me, and that was the old Assen before they snipped 30% off again. And that wasn't from safety, as I understand it. There's buildings built out there now, so it was like a financial thing, and it brings a tear to my eye because the new section, apart from being shorter, just doesn't flow like the rest of the track. And you imagine people that haven't ridden it, please imagine for me, imagine another 30% of the old style circuit added to it. It's just amazing, So it can no longer be in my best tracks in the world fight. Sorry, Assen. Then I would go to Suzuka. Suzuka was truly incredible for me to ride. Went there every year to the 8 hour. Took me years to make friends with it. Again and again, every type of corner. It's a figure eight, 5.8 kilometers if I remember right, almost 6 kilometers long. Amazing circuit. It's got a few walls that are close, and I believe that's the reason why it's no longer on the World Championship calendar. So Phillip Island's the only one of my favourites left on there. I want to drop down then to the ones that were close behind. Mugello. I think a lot of people will be surprised that Mugello isn't on top of the circuit list because it is so beautiful, so amazing. It's got some sections in it that are the best in the world, you know. Like I said, it's beautiful, loads of different types of corners, but it repeats the same thing 3 times, and that's second gear chicane, you know, second gear chicane, second gear chicane, second gear chicane again, 3 times in one lap. And even though it's got the best main straight in the world for me, the last chicane, last turn and front straight is, I think, the best main straight in the world, you know, the last section in the world. And it's got, is it Casanova down the hill up, and then that, you know, all the way up to, is it Scaparia, you know, Arrabbiata 1 and 2, through that section, gorgeous, you know. And probably, it is the most beautiful circuit in the world and setting. But because of that repeat 3 chicanes, it can't beat, for me, the Old Assin or Phillip Island now, only because of that. Then I'd go to Brno. That was this. It's this exactly the same reason, you know. I love Brno as a racetrack. I loved it as a racer, and I love it as a track dayer, just like Mugello. You know, they're one of the few that I love before and after racing. Then I'm lucky enough. I'll move down now to. I'm lucky enough to get to ride both track daying or as a GoPro lap. I've done it both of these tracks, Silverstone and Aragon. You know, they're 2 new additions, and they're in the league of being the best tracks in the world. But I know people will be surprised about it that have done it as a track day, about Silverstone being in that league, because a few people tell me they find it a bit boring, or, you know, it's difficult to get reference. And yes, and that's the thing, why it's different requirements for racing than track daying. As a racer, you want something that will let that incredible machine stretch its legs, you know, and then test a rider. It's so intimidating to go fast around Silverstone, you know, and it doesn't have slow corners leading onto long straights. For me, it's got everything that the best track in the world should have. It's amazing, you know. I would love to ride a MotoGP bike around there. And then there's Istanbul Park. I've only got to ride that once or twice, track daying, and it's built by the same people as Motorland Aragon. Very similar in some ways, amazing facility, like Aragon. Aragon's in Istanbul Park, arguably the best facilities in the world. Like when you look at garages, safety, layout, surface, they've got everything, you know, and truly incredible. I'm glad I got to ride them. You know, it comes now to the end and to explain why you want different things again than racing and track daying. I've explained the racing side, but the track daying side, the thing is, I want people to enjoy it, and I want to enjoy it. So what you need is not too big a distance from the airport, not too big a distance from the hotel that you're staying in. The weather's got to be good, otherwise you don't want to come back there. The safety, you know, you've got to think about safety of a circuit, bringing people to it. Then the layout and how it's run, and things like the paint on the corners. Is it slippery? Is it GP quality? You know, you put all of these things together, and then places like Jerez and especially Valencia. I hated Valencia when I was a racer. Turned up there on a 500, and I'd go like, man, it's like taking my 500 to a go-kart track, and I'd fight all the way around there, bam, bam, trying to keep the front on the ground, and you're always turning, and it never gets to stretch its legs properly, big fast turns, big fast sections, and the rider never gets a rest, and I'm like, but I go back there as a track dayer, and it's great because instead of being intimidated and afraid like I was when I first went to Phillip Island, and that's, you face it, what my clients are going to be like. They're going to go like, oh, it's terrible trying to get them to go through a corner 200 kilometers an hour. Where Valencia, after 3 days, they've got a big grin on, and we have a great time. And it's easier to get them going on a good level. Jerez is exactly the same, Jerez, when I think about it, it's got to be like Mugello, Brno, and Jerez would be my favourite top tracks to go to, and Aragon. Okay, so they're the cream of tracks to go to. Aragon, the weather, it's too hot in the summer and it's too cold in the winter, so you've only got the window, autumn and spring. Mugello's a bit the same, rainy in the winter, smoking, you're talking 40 in the summer, so same again, window there. Valencia, very cool, like it gets a bit cold in the winter, but the rest of the year is great. And Jerez, I think to me, if you include everything I've listed there, it has it. An awesome layout as well, like for a track day. And on top of that, it's got some of the best food, for the evenings when we go out. So because of the weather on top of that, it's only too hot in the summer. The rest of the year, you get a little bit of rain in maybe January or around there somewhere, but the rest of the year is bang on to go to track days. It's got everything. So for me as a track dayer, Jerez is the winner.